So real quick, I want to read this quote, and it says, "Sometimes you have to forget what you feel and remember what you deserve." And that's a powerful quote, because the reality is that many times we may say we know and embrace our worth, but we allow ourselves to entertain situations that are not best for us. We entertain people and relationships who don't truly belong in our life. We take less than what we really deserve because sometimes we just think less of ourselves, if we're being honest. And we don't have a good grasp of what our worth is, and an understanding or a belief that we can receive what is truly best for us. So it's important that we take time to find our worth. Because again, we say it all the time, know your worth, know your worth, know your worth. But do you know how to find it? Do you know how to go about cultivating it and nurturing it so that you will not find yourself in these situations that will only derail you in life? All right. So one of the first steps you got to take in finding your worth is you have to heal and grow. Because the reality is this: our struggle with self-esteem, our struggle with self-worth, and even believing that good exists comes from the hurt that we've experienced, come from all that we've been through in the past, all right? And that's why I'm such a huge proponent, huge supporter of going to therapy and healing, all right? And now people always ask me about coaching, but listen, I can't coach everybody. But I do have something that I want to present to you that I think is going to be extremely helpful. So one, I want to say thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, because they're such an amazing resource if you're facing anything that's interfering with your happiness, your peace of mind, your mental health. You know, I know for me, when I was younger, when I was going through some struggles in college, going to a therapist or going to a counselor was a huge help. And this is where BetterHelp can help you in that area. They will assess your needs and match you with your own professional licensed therapist. And you'll be able to start communicating within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online. They have over 20,000 professional therapists in their network with a broad range of expertise that can help you. And the additional wonderful thing is these services are available to people worldwide. And you'll be able to log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. So I want you to visit betterhelp.com/Stephan Speaks, and that's better, BETTER, help, HELP, and join over 1 million clients worldwide who are taking charge of their mental health and creating a better life. And take advantage of this special offer. Being a member of my channel, using that link, you'll get 10% off your first month. Trust me, it's gonna absolutely be worth it. So I really encourage you to get the help you need when it comes to healing and growing. But you know, going to therapy is gonna be about the healing, and it can help you grow. But in addition to the growing, is always being open to finding out how you can be better, how you can improve, how you can make certain adjustments that can get you better results in life. We can't fall into this trap of, well, what I deserve is for someone to love me, flaws and all. Yeah, to a certain extent, you know, it's like we want someone who loves us and understands we're not perfect and we're gonna make mistakes sometimes and we're not gonna always get it right, you know, but can be patient with us. But we should not expect anyone, nor should we tolerate anyone who wants to dwell in their flaw, who wants to allow a damaging flaw to linger in the relationship, because some flaws can destroy a relationship and we have to correct them when they exist. So be willing to heal, be willing to grow. And once you get that that foundational piece out the way, you've set yourself up really well for now finding your worth. Now, the second step to finding your worth is determine what you want. All right. Now, when I first wrote this, I said determine what you deserve. But sometimes what we think we deserve may not put things into proper perspective. And you may not know what you feel like you deserve. So let's start with, what do you want? And I'm going to explain this more in detail, but I really want you to just write out whatever it is. It doesn't matter how outlandish it may seem to some people. It doesn't matter how wild it is. Whatever you feel you want, all right? If you want them to look like this and have this and do this and all that, because, you know, I'm speaking on this from the angle of relationships. Of course, this practice can apply to what you want in your career, what you want in love, whatever it is. But let's just use love or relationship as the template right now. So writing down everything you want, all right? No holding back. Doesn't matter how ridiculous it seems to some people, whatever. And really start to examine here and understand why you even want these things. That's important, because what I'm getting at here, and it kind of is the third step, is once you write down what you want, start to then understand what you actually need. A lot of people are stuck in life because they're holding on to what they think they want. And what they don't understand is there are people in life who got what they want and we're still unhappy. We're still miserable. Because what we want isn't always what we need. It doesn't always truly connect with or speak to our heart and our spirit. It is a conclusion we've come to based off of surface desires and surface understandings of what is ideal, okay? But it doesn't always line up with what is truly necessary. So when you start to first write down what you want, then you start to try to understand, okay, why do I want this person to look like this? Why do I want this person to have this? So for example, let's just say, and this can go for man or woman, but let's just use a woman in this example. Let's just say you want a man who's 6'2" with muscles, right? And the question is, why do you want a man who's 6'2" with muscles? I would think that the most popular answer is going to be because you want to be highly attracted to that man. All right. So what you need is attraction. All right. What you want is 6'2" and muscles, but what you need is attraction. And the reality is that attraction can be found outside of the box that you're creating. All right. So again, let's shift this to even business, man or woman. You say, well, I want to make 6 figures. I want to make 120 grand a year, right? Okay, why do you want to make 120 grand a year? Well, because I want to be able to go on vacation and live comfortably and all these things. Okay, so what you want is 120 grand. What you need within this context, and I'm using need loosely here in this example, but your core desire here is financial freedom and flexibility. So here's the reality. You don't have to make 120 to achieve that. Once you understand at the core what you're desiring or what you feel like you need to really be comfortable and happy, then you might start to realize, well, wait a minute. If what I'm really looking for is the ability to go on vacation, pay my bills comfortably, now let's start to budget it. And what you may find after you actually create a budget is that you can achieve these same things with 80 grand. I'm just giving an example. But do you see how a lot of times we don't put things into proper perspective? And so why this all ties back to finding your worth is because this is also about settling. And I'm going to shine a light more on the settling part a little bit later in the video. But in finding your worth, all right, there is a connection to what we're looking to get out of life, what we're looking to get out of our relationships and out of love. because how we see our worth will dictate what we accept. All right. And so I hope I'm making sense here, but if you don't see the connection, I'm just trying to make it clearer that understanding what you're looking for, and more importantly, what you need, is going to help fortify your understanding of your worth and what you deserve and what you should be accepting into your life. All right? Because you understand what's important to you. You've drawn that picture rather than just kind of going through life and just whatever comes, I'll figure it out when it comes to me. No, let's make it as clear and plain as possible, but then understand it at its core. And I believe that creating that full picture is going to do a lot of wonders in your life. All right, so I kind of put two in that last one. So now we're technically at the fourth point that I wanted to make. And this is more focused on the relationship angle of finding your worth. Is I want you to learn how to be happy while you're single. Now, listen closely to what I said. I didn't say learn to be happy that you're single. Learn how to be happy while you're single. The difference is this. I don't need you to celebrate singleness as in that is your preferred choice, okay? Because I feel that when you do that and you deny what your true desire is, then you can block that blessing from coming into your life. And here's an example. I remember I knew a woman and she was partying a lot. Okay, she loved to party, loved to be out. She was living it up, living up her single life, okay? And I remember one time we were talking and she was like how she wants a relationship. And I was like, really? I said, man, the way you be moving, I thought you were good. You were really happy single. And she was like, no, I'm not happy that I'm single. I'm just trying to enjoy myself while I am single. But and I want y'all to grasp that or to embrace that in your life is, again, that approach of being happy even though you are single. But where she crossed the line was that she did not realize that she was also not just giving off an energy that says I'm good single, but it came off as I prefer to be single. To the point that when people brought up relationships to her, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. So she didn't realize she was dismissing it in a way when it was brought to her that she didn't need it, she didn't care for it, it's no big deal to her. But then when she came to me in this vulnerable moment, she was expressing how she really wants it. And then she said, you know what? When I kind of put things into perspective for her, she was like, hey, it's crazy because it just dawned on her that she had met a guy like a month before who, when they finally, I forgot how it all went. So excuse me for missing parts of the story. But the point is, he said to her, I didn't approach you because I was hearing from people that you're happy, you're good single, you prefer to be single. So basically, her doing all this dismissal, I don't need no relationship, I'm good. That word was being passed around in circles to where it got to a friend of a friend who actually was interested, and the female friend of hers told him, nah, she's good. And then they somehow later on talked, and she was like, no, I would be interested in getting to know you. I want a relationship. And so they took it from there. But this is the trap that a lot of people fall in, is that we don't realize how we're projecting this, not I don't want a relationship, rather than I want one, but I'm still going to be happy as I am. Like I'm going to find happiness where I am. So that's where when I say be happy while you're single, it's learning how to still enjoy life regardless of your relationship status. Learning how to be alone. And the reason why this is so important in finding your worth is because many people, again, the core matter of finding your worth is not accepting less than you deserve. Not accepting less than that's best for you. When we don't learn how to be single, alone, and be comfortable in that, comfortable in the sense that we know we can find happiness even while we're in this state or regardless of being in this state, then we end up latching on to what becomes available many times. We end up entertaining people who we should not entertain because we don't want to be by ourselves. We don't want to be lonely. And I've said many times where for some people, being alone is like being with a stranger because you don't know yourself. And when you don't know yourself, that's scary to have to face yourself. So it's easy to run to distractions, and whether it be work or if you got kids or friends. But no, I want you to learn how to be alone and be, again, not comfortable as in I want to stay alone forever, but I can handle this. I can be good and I can learn how to still create happiness in my life regardless of who's in it, who's not in it, or what relationship I'm in or I'm not in. All right, so moving things along, the next point you need to understand in finding your worth is be willing to speak up, all right? And again, even though this is really more focused on relationships, a lot of this stuff applies to career and business as well. So I'm gonna use a business analogy. A lot of times when people don't get paid correctly, it's not because they were not worth a higher salary. It's because they were afraid to say something and ask for more, all right? I remember one time many years ago, I went to apply at this job with this health insurance. It was a call center job or whatever. And at that time, I think they were offering people $11 or something like that. So I did the interview, woman loved me. Sorry, we want to hire you. We're starting at $11.50. And I looked at her, I said, can you do better than that? Like, listen, I got plenty of experience. I know I'm good. I'm worth more. I didn't say flat out I'm worth more, but I was like, I think, based on my experience and things like that, I can more. And she said, you know what? All right, we're going to give you $13.50. I got jumped. Now, mind you, there was probably 10 other people who got hired that week who may have had more or equal experience as me. But they got paid less because they said nothing. And so now in relationships, a lot of times we get less because we say less. Because we don't speak up. Because we're afraid. Like in that situation, the person is afraid to ask for more from that job because they're afraid to not get that job. They're afraid to turn the interviewer off rather than stand strong in what their value is and what they deserve. In relationships, many times people are afraid to speak up and say what they want, what they need, because they fear losing this person and losing this opportunity rather than standing strong in who they are and what they deserve. So to ensure that you not just find your worth, but you nurture and maintain your worth, you establish it and you get what you deserve, you've got to be willing to speak up. And that's something that you've got to be willing to practice in various aspects of life. So don't just wait for a relationship. Again, it can be in career. It can be with family members. It can be with friends. Anytime you feel like you're being shortchanged, you're being, given less than you deserve, speak up. Never be afraid that they're going to snatch shit away from you or snatch their presence from your life. Well, then good damn riddance. You know what I'm saying? Because if they can't give you what you deserve, someone else or something else can. God ain't put you on this earth to settle. All right? So you got to hold strong in that. You got to remove the fear and be willing to speak. But again, I always throw in this caveat, learn how to effectively express yourself. So when I say speak up, again, I wouldn't have said to the interviewer, how dare you offer me $11.50? Are you out of your mind? You better give me $13.50. I probably would have been asked to leave, okay? I wouldn't have gotten the raise. So there is a level of be mindful of how you deliver your request or how you speak up to something. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you do that and you take a healthy, confident, calm, mature approach, then yeah, either they're going to respect it or maybe they got to get moved out the way. So my next point, I actually kind of already said it, but I'm going to repeat it again because it needs to be pushed even more, is never be afraid to lose them more than you're afraid to lose yourself. So like I said, one of the big reasons why people don't get what they deserve is because their fear of speaking up stems from a fear of losing this person. But you got to understand that if you let that fear consume you, you now lose yourself in return. There's a trade-off. Something's going to get lost. When you accept, in that situation, you're either going to stand up for yourself, all right, and take the risk of losing them, but you keep your integrity, you keep your self-dignity, you hold strong to what you know is best for you, or you're going to lose yourself in trying to accommodate them and appease them and keep them around, whether that's a job, a person, whatever. And so we've got to understand that when people, things, situations cannot give us what is best for us, outside of God is telling you to be there for whatever greater purpose, we got to be willing to let go. And we've got to understand that in letting go, better will come. Don't ever think something that's shortchanging you is the best you can do. You understand? It's almost like if you know you have $1 million house. Or matter of fact, no. I got a friend who was laid off from a job, I want to say 6 months ago. And let's say he was making I think 60, 70 from that job. But at this point in his career, he accumulated enough experience to where he knew he can get 90 to 6 figures from a job. And he was getting some interviews from those types of high-paying jobs, but nothing was panning out. And so there was a temptation to take a much lower-paying job just to have a job, all right? And there was outside influence trying to push him in that direction. But deep inside him, he knew, no, I know I'm worth that 90,000, that 6-figure job. I know I can get it. And so now it becomes a matter of patience. Now, here's the thing. If he would have settled for that 60, 70 again, he would have gotten a job. And on the surface, that looks good. But I would argue that he would have felt robbed working there. He would not be as fulfilled. He would not be as engaged. It would be a very different energy because he would be feeling like he's not getting what he deserved. He would essentially lose himself. All right. And that would now lead into other issues. But instead, he held strong. He was patient, and grace of God, he got that 6-figure job. You know what I'm saying? And now he's happy. Now he's good. Now everything is right. And so sometimes, again, we got to be willing to lose that temporary or that instant gratification or that thing that just seems like, well, maybe taking what's good enough right now or okay should be fine. No, it's not. If it's not what you truly deserve, if it's not what's truly best for you, you got to be willing to be patient and understand better will come. His better came. Your better will come if this thing or person is not truly best for you. So again, never be more afraid to lose. No, never be afraid. Dang, I done messed up my own quote. Never be afraid to lose them more than you're afraid to lose yourself. All right, so here's another reason. And after this one, I got a bonus, so to speak. And we're going to get a little spiritual here. If you want to find your worth, you have to see yourself through the eyes of God. Here's the thing. God loves you. God wants what's best for you. God did not put you on this earth to settle. I said that earlier, and I will say it again. He did not put you on this earth to settle. Now, again, it doesn't mean we don't go through a process of struggle to get to that greater thing in life. That's not settling, though. That's just going through the process. That's just going through the grind. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like hitting that gym and having to put our body through it before we get those results we really want. That's a part of the process, okay? But at the end of it, he does not want you to accept less than what's truly best. And when you start to understand how God sees you, the purpose he put in you, the greatness he puts in you, then you start to understand more how you should not be entertaining the nonsense that you may have entertained in the past. You start to understand more how some of these negative relationships, people, jobs are not truly best for you because they rob you of a greater quality of life. They rob you of peace. Hell, some of them pull you even further away from God. You got to be willing to let that go, because again, what God sees in you is something beautiful, amazing, and deserving of wonderful things. And you got to connect with that vision. You got to connect with that perception that he has of you. And you do that by growing closer to God. You do that by praying more. You do that by learning to talk to God and trust in his process. Trust in doing things his way. Because I can tell you, man, going into a business perspective, I've had success my way and I've had success God's way. Success God's way is way better. All right? Anything God's way compared to the other way is way better. You may not be able to see it right now or understand it, but I'm telling you, it's way better. But again, it comes with a process. And we just got to be willing to walk through that and trust him and know that greatness is always on the other side of it. All right, so, I've encouraged you throughout this video to find your worth, know your worth, not settle, know what you want, understand what you need, all these things, right? But here's something I got to talk about that's very important, especially for those of you who have high aspirations as far as what you feel like you need or you desire or whatever the case may be. I will never tell anyone to lower their standards, but I might tell you to raise your qualifications. And so I think it's very important that when we are finding our worth and embracing it, that we have very honest conversations with ourselves. And honest conversations about, okay, let's just say, again, using business, I want a 6-figure job. All right, I've identified that's what I want. And let's just say in this example, I never went to college. This job requires a college degree and requires a couple years of experience in the field. All right. I can sit here and say I want that kind of job all I want. If I am unwilling to go on the path to acquire those things, the education, the experience to qualify for this job, then my desires are pointless. And sitting there and complaining about, well, why can't the job just hire me as I am? Ain't gonna change nothing. The job ain't gonna say, oh, well, you know what? You got a good point. We're gonna ignore all these other people who are willing to step up to the plate with what we're asking for, and we're just gonna hire you. Now listen, sometimes people do get lucky like that. People know people. Those are rare exceptions. But general rule, you've got to be willing to accept what is required at the level that you want to be. What is required of the things you desire to have in your life. You cannot just say, I deserve it for deserving its sake. Okay? You can't just say, well, God wants me to have the best, so even though I'm not going to step my game up, I should still get these things. No. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and not just recognize, okay, if I want this, I got to be willing to make these changes or acquire these qualities or whatever the case may be. But also have an honest enough conversation of maybe if I don't think what is required is worth it. So going back to the example, if I'm sitting there saying, okay, this 6-figure job wants me to go to school and get a degree and have 2 years experience, and I have determined that I hate school and I ain't got time to be trying to get 2 years of experience in this field, right? You are entitled to feel that way. But then I have to be honest with myself and say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'll take a $75,000 job. Maybe I'll take this job instead. Because at that job, what is being required of me, I'm willing to do that. That work doesn't seem too much for me. And keep things in proper perspective. Because I feel like too many people in the whole principle of knowing your worth and embracing your worth is just saying, well, I should have this and that, without realizing, but what is required of you is more than what you are giving right now. All right? And so, again, not to ramble on and on, be honest with yourself. All right? If you want it, be willing to put in the work. If you don't think the work is worth it, that's perfectly okay. that's when you would, I guess you could say someone can make the argument of quote unquote lower your standards. I think it's just adjusting your reality of desire. And again, but more importantly, what you actually needed in the first place. Because sometimes what we're trying to get, we don't even need it. It wasn't even that important. And we're shooting for things that's irrelevant, and we won't truly be happy even if we had it in our possession. But anyways, I had to drive that point home. But ultimately, I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to love yourself. I want you to heal. I want you to see yourself through God's eyes. I want you to find your worth, embrace it, and not settle for anything less than you deserve. Oh, and one more thing, because I mentioned this is also about not settling, all right? And I always say this topic requires a whole video by itself, but I'm just going to make a quick point. We need to adjust our perception of what settling is. So remember when I said earlier about writing down what you desire, what you want, but then understanding why you want it and then what you actually need. Settling is not taking less than you wanted. Settling is taking less than what's best for you. All right? And so using it in the context of relationship, if you want a partner that's this, that, and the other, right? Let's say they make this certain kind of money, they look this certain kind of way. And then someone brings you someone who doesn't meet those standards. But when you meet them, the attraction is there. The connection is there. Everything else is there. And you're happy with this person. You being with them is not settling because it's where you found real happiness. It's where your spirit truly connected and your heart was spoken to. Taking less than what you thought you wanted, that's not settling. And that perception that it is what gets people in so much trouble. So that's why I really want you to focus on not simply what you want, but what is best for you, what is going to make you happy, what's going to speak to your heart and spirit, because that's where your peace, your happiness, your joy is going to be magnified in life. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So I want to read you this quote I posted the other day real quick. I'm going to read it from my phone because it's a little long. All right. And it says, going deeper into your relationship with God will require sacrifice. Sometimes you just can't bring certain people where God is leading.